Oshkosh Media is government programming on GovTV, community programming on Life TV, and community radio on Oshkosh FM 101.9.
Welcome to the City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda.
And thanks for joining us for the City Manager's Report. I'm Andy Radig, along with your City Manager for the City of Oshkosh, Mark Roloff. And Mark, thanks for being here.
Great to be here, Andy.
Well, today we have a lot coming up. We'll start with some municipal news updates, and in the second half of the program, we'll look at some agenda highlights from the upcoming Tuesday, November 23rd Common Council meeting. So, Mark, we have a lot of different things in the first half of the show today, and kind of an exciting new opportunity that came together with some community partners is a transitional housing solution. And I know that there were several people involved in this whole program.
A lot of great community nonprofit partners. The Oshkosh Area Community Foundation, Father Carr's Place to Be, and COTS, which is an organization based in Appleton that wants to bring their program of transitional housing services to Oshkosh. And so they worked out a great arrangement in which Father Carr's is going to be selling a portion of their property to the Community Foundation, which will turn it over to COTS to run this transitional housing program. It's something that we do not have in the Oshkosh community that's sorely needed. And so it's so great to know that the Community Foundation was able to really match up Father Carr's and COTS to make this transaction happen.
Mm-hmm. And this is the building here. So part of that will be continued to be operated by Father Carr's, and then the other part will be COTS, this new partnership.
Yeah, this will be the building that COTS will own, and it's really what it is for people who are they're ready to move on from beyond the day-by-day portion of homelessness, and this gives them a place that they will actually pay a little rent in, but they're employed. If they've had any past history of substance abuse issues, they're addressing them. Mental health issues, they're addressing them. So it's for people who are ready to truly make the transition. And COTS has done a wonderful job at doing this. They have like a 90% success rate.
That's great.
So we're really impressed with the resume that COTS has. And so they focus on employment and education, housing stability, so getting them ready for their next transition, because the maximum amount of time they can spend there is about 2 years, and then they move into more traditional housing. But they do health services, behavioral health services, and any just social work related work. So it's a great program. I am so excited that it's coming to Oshkosh, and it really helps address a much needed void in our community.
And how does this fit in with the continuum of care for homelessness?
Well, we've talked a lot about the day-by-day warming shelter, and these are not competing interests at all. In fact, they're very complementary to one another. Day-by-day literally takes care of day-by-day needs, people who need shelter for the evening. COTS they're going to identify people through a program like Day by Day and say, are you ready to go to the next level so that you have a little more housing stability, and give them that opportunity to do it. So that's where this is such a great marriage between the services that Day by Day provides and the services that COTS will provide, because it's an awfully big leap from chronic homelessness to housing stability. This gets them through the next gate towards housing stability. It's really a great program.
Oh, great. And I'm sure we'll learn more about it as they become operational in early 2022. So, similar topic, the Oshkosh Police Department was able to work with Day by Day Warming Shelter to help some homeless that were in Oshkosh. Some citizens had contacted OPD regarding some homeless people that were living under some bridges, and OPD was able to have some success with this.
Well, I think OPD helped in a situation that COTS could actually have helped with, but we had some homeless individuals that were living in this area, and there were a couple of them that were alternately watching somebody's personal items while the other was at work, and then they'd switch. Both of these folks were unemployed, or excuse me, they were employed. They were gainfully employed, but what they were missing was that security deposit that you got to do first and last months.
Right.
If you have a track record of being homeless, you don't have as much of a credit history and things like that. So they're very tough to get rentals in the first place. But OPD collaborated with the day-by-day shelter, and what the police program is the Police Lights of Christmas. It's a program that allows the police department to help citizen in needs. And through those programs, those two homeless gentlemen now have an apartment because the Lights of Christmas program enabled them to have the security deposit that they needed. So now these two gentlemen are in stable housing, gainfully employed, and no longer a burden on the resources that are limited to serve the homeless community. It's a great outcome, and I can't tell you how proud I am of our police department to recognize that there was a solution just within reach, and they filled that gap to make that happen. Yeah, I'm very proud of the work they do.
Well, and kudos to them for recognizing that those two things could come together to solve that problem.
Well,
so that's great.
Our police are problem solvers. This was just way beyond what they normally do, but it just demonstrates how committed they are.
Sure, absolutely. Well, and also the Oshkosh Fire Department is very actively involved in some holiday types of activities, and their food and toy drive is coming around. So folks might know about this from years previous.
Well, police and fire guys love to compete with each other, but their commitment to helping the community goes beyond their regular duty hours. And our fire department is once again doing their food and toy drive, and the donations of non-perishable food items, new unwrapped gifts, wrapping paper, tape, and cash donations are accepted. There's some videos from our prior years. All the items donated will be given to Salvation Army and distributed through their program where they distribute gifts to families. The monetary donations are given to the Oshkosh Firefighters Charitable Trust and the Gary Asubi Scholarship Program. So two very good programs. The dates have already been set, and the routes begin around between 5 and 5:30, and there are the dates. So Station 14. We've got a map on our website, the fire department's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages. So just check them out. But these are the dates out of the different stations. So depending on what area of town you live in, far north side's December 14th, the east side's on December 13th. So you'll see the areas that are going to be covered. And again, our fire department, they bring their own time to this thing. It says a lot about their character and how much they are committed for the betterment of our community.
So residents will see the fire truck come down the street, and they'll be collecting things at that time. But if folks don't happen to be home, they can also reach out to the fire department to make those donations at some separate time as well.
Yeah, they have drop-off sites available and whatnot, and that makes it easier for everybody. But be on the lookout. You'll hear the sirens and the horns and everybody out there singing. And when they come through your neighborhood, you pretty much know it.
You pretty much know it. Okay, all righty. Well, another recent post on the website, the Citizen Survey Report 2021 is now available. And this is an initiative, it's a partnership between UW Oshkosh and the city.
This is our 13th year of doing this citizen survey. And we're very, pleased with that partnership that we have with the university. But it really helps us take a snapshot at how we're doing. And I'm happy to report that overall, there's good things in there. There's also critical things. But for example, overall quality of life, we have 77% of our residents say our quality of life is very good or good or excellent. So that's a very good thing. Now there's other areas that are identified for improvement, and we certainly want to recognize that. I think COVID has had an impact on people's outlook. Andy, you were here in 2009 in the aftermath of all the flooding from 2008, the recession. There was a general malaise, I would say, with some of the first citizen survey responses. And I think this is reflective of that. Now, I don't take that for granted. I think we need to improve, and there's areas we can improve on. And I look at the long term, how we're improving over time. And a dip in the road just says, hey, we got to keep our eye on certain areas to make sure we're being responsive and things like that. But this service that the university provides us helps the council a great deal. Even before the council saw the survey results, they knew that there were issues regarding concerns about public safety. And in response, the council added 2 police officers to the budget, and that really gets confirmed by the comments from the citizen survey. So they really do work in tandem, and I think the council does an excellent job of identifying needs in the community by utilizing the citizen survey as one tool to help them make priorities for their budgeting.
And we should note also, you mentioned about looking at trends, and there's also a trend analysis that's posted on the website as well.
I think for me that's one of the biggest benefits, because we can take using a survey as a snapshot, but when you have a trend analysis, it really gives you sort of a moving picture of how things are going. And this is just an example. So this is the report that you'll see on site, and it has a lot of the trend analysis and everything, but the graphics don't serve well for our viewing purposes. But I would encourage you to check it out. It's under the Hot Topics area of our website. You'll see all of these things. I think we're doing a better job at getting a more representative sample of our community, a little more diversity, cuts across ages and wages and that. We still have a little ways to go to get a truly representative model, but I think it's as representative as you can ask for given the limitations.
Right. Well, and in the survey, I know that the quality of life is always a topic that folks are looking at for value in the city, and the Oshkosh Public Museum is one of those quality of life things. And they have a White Christmas exhibit that is now open. It's
open now through January 23rd of 2022, so we want to encourage people to go there. The exhibit's going to feature costumes, props, memorabilia, backdrops, and tons more. And the tickets are already on sale now, and the museum recommends purchasing your tickets in advance.
That's right.
So that way the museum can manage crowds and everything. But I'm a White Christmas fan. That's legit stuff you're seeing right there. So if you're a freak about White Christmas like me, you're going to probably want to go more than once, I'm telling you. So it's really worth going to see. I'm giving a personal recommendation for it. Visit OshkoshMuseum.org for details.
That's right, and it's only the 3rd U.S. city to host this exhibit, and it's 2,000 square feet. So pretty neat thing for Oshkosh.
It really is. So yeah, great plug there.
All right. Well, and then also we have some reminders that there are continues to be some leaf pickup, and there's brush pickup coming up. Most of the leaf pickup has ended, but there still will be the opportunity for folks to put their brown bags out in early December.
Yeah, the loose leaf collection, well, I know there are leaves out there. I know I still have leaves to do, but our trucks need to get converted to snowplow trucks, and it's not as easy as just snapping this stuff off and slapping on a snowplow. There's a lot of work associated with that. So if you haven't got your leaves collected, you can still drop them off over at the site, at the Witzel Avenue site. You enter off of 3rd Avenue. But we got to get going on snow removal, even though we haven't had any yet. But as you said, there's going to be brush pickup December 6th to 10th, and you can do your brown bags for curbside pickup on your regular garbage day, and our folks will come by and get that as well.
Okay. And we also wanted to pass along some holiday reminders for the Thanksgiving holiday that there is no garbage or recycling pickup, as mentioned on Thanksgiving Day, November 25th, and then your pickup moves back one day. So if you have the Thursday pickup, you'd be picked up on Friday, and Friday pickup moves back to Saturday. So those are just a few notes there. And the Yard Waste Drop-Off Center, Go Transit, Oshkosh Public Library, and City Hall will each be closed on Thanksgiving Day, but reopen on Friday the 26th.
Just normal stuff we got to tell everybody.
Right. And then also we'll be continuing to have masking in city-operated buildings through the end of November.
Yeah, and this applies to vaccinated and unvaccinated people. So right now, I expect to continue the masking at city buildings through the end of the year. I didn't think I'd be in this situation to do this, but while the trend was very briefly going towards improving, it's actually gotten worse, and we're still in the very high category. So I encourage people to pursue vaccines. You're eligible now to get a booster if it's been more than 6 months. Check out wcvaccine.org for local vaccination and booster shot information. I did find out the other day that the walk-in Wednesday for the day before Thanksgiving is not taking place.
Okay.
So just be aware of that, everybody. But it'll resume after that. But just walk-in Wednesday won't be applied for the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Okay, that's a good note to know. All right, well, Mark, thank you for those updates, and that wraps up the first half of the show. Please stay with us for some agenda highlights from the upcoming Tuesday, November 23rd Common Council meeting. You're watching the City Manager's Report.
White Christmas has enchanted viewers since its release 67 years ago. Memorable music numbers, a talented cast, a feel-good story, and an iconic title song have made this film a holiday classic. Visit the White Christmas exhibit at the Oshkosh Public Museum now through January 23rd for a glimpse behind the scenes of this classic Hollywood film. The White Christmas exhibit features costumes, props, photos, posters, and more. Visit OshkoshMuseum.org to purchase tickets. White Christmas at the Oshkosh Public Museum, now through January 23rd.
And welcome back to the City Manager's Report. I'm Andy Radig along with City Manager Mark Roloff. Let's take a look at some agenda highlights from the upcoming November 23rd Common Council meeting. So, Mark, there's a public hearing, and this is regarding vacating right-of-way, kind of close to, I think it was the former Miles Kimball building?
Yeah, it's between West 8th and West 9th on South Main Street. So
Okay.
yeah, it is right there. The plan has always been to, as part of the Sawdust District plan, to widen the right-of-way out on South Main to 80 feet. And so as a precaution, we reserved some right-of-way on the west side. But we've since found out that we've got adequate right-of-way on the east side of the street, so we no longer need it. We've got more than 80 feet. So we're going to vacate that. It's really tight over there in the first place.
Right.
So taking out more right-of-way just wouldn't have been a great idea. Our idea eventually is to have nice sidewalk and parking and bike lanes and things like that. And you start taking up too much right-of-way, it starts impacting the property owners adjacent. So I think the idea was that we want to make sure that this area is successful. The Miles Kimball building is going to be under renovation very shortly. Our redevelopment authority sold the building to a private developer, and they're working on it. So we want to make sure that they're going to be successful, and giving them that little extra right away just gives them a little more breathing room.
All parts of the steps of this redevelopment area.
Yeah, and I think if you take a look at the Sawdust District plan, you're going to see it's going to be great. And we want it to be great for the private side of things as well.
Okay, all right. A little bit later in the agenda, under the consent section, there's an item for an officer training simulator. And this sounds like an interesting piece of equipment for the police department.
Well, a couple things. One is, yes, this is a wonderful training tool for our police department. What the simulator is, it's a more computerized type of thing, but places the police officers in various situations to determine how well they exercise their judgment during shooting situations. It's one thing to go to a practice range and shoot at a target, but when you're actually simulating shooting in some type of environment, it really works well. The other part of this is that we have some great donors who the Community Foundation lined up with our police department, and they were very willing to do this. So this private donor has donated the entire $62,500 price tag for this simulator. So our officers get some great training opportunities, and we get a donor who's cares enough to fund it. So we're really pleased, and I think you're going to see improved training by our police officers, and that'll just help us in the long run. And that's really what this is all about.
And that's a great addition for the police department.
It really is.
Okay. And then another item on the agenda, it might seem mundane, purchasing chemicals for the water filtration and wastewater plants, but it kind of reflects some of the things that everybody else is dealing with cost increases.
Well, we annually purchase chemicals for our water and wastewater plant, and it's one of those things that you don't necessarily see what's going on behind the curtain. But behind the curtain at our water and sewer plants, we use a lot of chemicals to help clean and filter the water and wastewater. But those are commodities that fluctuate in price all the time.
Okay.
We get an annual price, and then we're kind of set for the year. But this year, and just one example, chlorine costs, and chlorine's both used at the water and wastewater plants, that's gone up 250%.
Wow.
So yeah, it's amazing how much that's gone up. So that's just mind-blowing when you think about it. So that is something that we have to absorb. Those are fixed costs. We can't say, well, let's use less chlorine to just pinch on things. You can't pinch on public health. There's another chemical, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's going up 63%. Now, not all our chemicals go up, but we competitively bid this annually so that we get as good a price as possible. It's just a couple of examples of where we're taking it on the chin a little bit this year. But that's just part of the price of doing business when you're talking about public safety.
Okay. All right, and then a little bit later in the consent agenda, there's an item to approve an agreement between the City of Oshkosh and area townships to provide ambulance service.
It was interesting when we were preparing for the show and even talking to some of the Oshkosh media staff, they weren't even aware how wide an area that our fire department covers for ambulance services.
Right.
And I think we've got, we provide services to not just the City of Oshkosh, but the City of Omro, the towns of Algoma, Black Wolf, and the Kaimai, Town of Omro, Poygan, Rushford, and Van Dyne, and Winneconne. And then we also do the Village of Winneconne. Just gives you an idea of all the areas we cover. We've got a great relationship with our surrounding townships, and all of those recognize the value of our fire department. They help us cover some of our overhead costs for providing basic ambulance services to our residents. So it is a win-win. We offer a very reasonable price to them, and we in turn get the benefit from having them help cover some of our overhead costs. So I'm very proud of the work that's been done over the last almost 20 years to develop this relationship with our neighbors. And I think they are generally very pleased with the service they get. And so again, it's a win-win that we can all be proud of.
And it reflects the quality of the Oshkosh ambulance services.
Yeah, they have a great deal of respect for our ambulance service, and they're always very appreciative of it.
Okay. A little bit later in the agenda, we have some new ordinances, and we have a couple of, looks like some rezoning items. And it looks like the first one is relating to the new parks building that is over at 805 Witzel Avenue.
Yeah, this is the park maintenance building. So they seem pretty mundane, but these are two very big public type of projects. So the first one is over on Witzel. This is to replace the park maintenance building, which used to be a training area for the technical college many years ago. We took it over as a hand-me-down, but it's far beyond its useful life. And this is the location. This is only the rezoning, so we'll share the drawings and that later as we get close to bidding it out and whatnot. But it's going to be done on the same footprint of the parks building. So our folks are going to have to scatter for a little over a year while it gets done. But we're going to be very excited to get that new building done. But this is just the zoning part of the process.
I have toured that building, and it is in need of replacement for sure.
Yeah.
So, and then there's another item for some rezoning, and this relates to the new Merrill School.
Yeah, this is the yet-to-be-named school
Yet-to-be-named
because the school
school.
district is doing a little naming contest.
Right.
We don't have the link because it's not our thing, but check out the link. There's 3 great choices for the school name, but this is to consolidate both middle schools, both Merrill and Webster Stanley, into a single school. So on this map, you see the location of the new school, and it's kind of at the corner of Nevada and Jackson Street, and you can see the current Merrill Elementary Middle School sort of in the lower right that's off of on the other side of Kentucky, which is on the other side of the yellow there. But the idea is to put a brand new school there. They haven't been able to acquire all the properties there, so they're working their way around a couple of the buildings, as you can see. But the whole idea is to have a consolidated middle school. Again, the city doesn't have anything directly to do with this, but we have worked with them on safety issues and to make it a much more effective building for them, as well as safe for everybody driving around and compatible with the neighborhood. That's very important in these types of things. Both our parks building and our and a school that's done by the school district. We want to make sure it blends in well with the neighborhood.
Sure, and we'll continue watching that as it develops, as they get closer to building over there. Okay, and then we've spoken on previous shows quite a bit about the American Rescue Plan Act, and it looks like some of these funds are kind of moving forward to be applied to some projects that are coming up. Sure.
Yeah, well, at our last council meeting, our finance director, Russ Van Gompel, made a presentation to the council and got a general understanding of what we were looking at. And so they generally agreed with the approach we were taking. We weren't specifically looking for formal approval for the whole spending plan because a lot of it is still yet to be determined. But there were some areas that were identified that are proposed for the late this year and into 2022. So those are the ones that we're asking for. It's roughly $3 million of the entire $20 million. So when you think about it, it's only about 15%. And I think we're being very cautious about not spending it all and then having regrets that we didn't consider other concerns or needs. And I believe that there still could be some delayed impacts that we'll want to address. But these will take care of a lot of things. So in our agenda packet, there'll be some information about which projects, some capital projects, as well as some other things related to convention center improvements that we owe some money on. So we're happy that we're able to do this.
Okay, and then one of those items, assuming that this one gets approved, is approving some new radio purchases for police and fire.
Probably almost half of the money identified are for replacement police and fire radios. This is something that the county had originally funded about 15 years ago, but the technology's kind of become obsolete. So we're going to do this and work with vendors at a state contract level to get a very good price. If we order by mid-December, we get a very good discount. So we want to stretch these American Rescue Act ARPA funds as much as we can, and getting this bid awarded now makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Alrighty. Well, then later in the agenda we have some discussion items, and we're talking about the Lakeshore Park Four Seasons building.
Well, yeah. Again, this is one of the problems that we're having with bidding on commodities and things like that. And the bids came in very poor for the Four Seasons building. They are about $1.4 million over. And so we're going to be presenting some options that we've looked at. And obviously one of the options is not to do it at all. I don't think that's what the council wants to do because they want us to implement this plan. But at the same time, there are options that they can look at to make this happen. But they'll have impacts that you just can't do it without any consequences of it. So we're going to present that to council. But an example, steel has gone up 50% over what our pre-bid estimate was. And that's just the way it is. So you can see the building that's proposed. It's going to be wonderful, but we're limited in what we can do.
Okay, and we'll see what we can do with it. All right, well, Mark, I think that's about all the time that we have today. Thank you for your insights.
It's always a pleasure.
All right, and thank you for joining us today. Again, that Common Council meeting is this Tuesday, November 23rd at 6 p.m. That's in person at City Hall with the option for remote participation by the public. And you can watch it live on GovTV, which is Spectrum Channel 10, UVerse Channel 99, and streaming on YouTube and OshkoshMedia.org. Or if you prefer, you can listen on the radio. It's Oshkosh FM 101.9, which is also online and on the TuneIn Radio app for phones and tablets. You can also watch on your favorite streaming device, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV. Just search for the Oshkosh Media app. And you can always visit our YouTube channel for government meeting archives. Thanks again for joining us today, and join us again in 3 weeks for another City Manager's Report. We'll see you next time.